Hello, welcome back to From the Source podcast. This is episode 21. Today we're going to be speaking about something that we all do, which is sleep. So going to be just quick fire episode, this one, probably like 10-15 minute for people that can just quickly listen to this on like the lunch breaks and stuff, but it's about like sleep, recovery, HRV, which people will probably ignore if they've got a smartwatch and stuff, and kind of just that recovery that we all need for fitness, for your running, for high rocks, for whatever training you've got going on. Just need to be aware of this and make sure you're kind of doing some parts of this. So sleep, it's kind of what we all do. It's everything we do at night, and some of us are nappers during the day as well. But kind of sleep is that extra, or not even an extra bit, it's just that bit that people, and I'm susceptible to doing this as well, the one that you kind of miss out, or the one you neglect the most. You know, we eat well, we train well, we get like the nutrition, we do everything, and then kind of the sleep is, you know, you go into bed regularly at 12 o'clock at night, trying to wake up early in the morning to get your training in, and you're getting like 5-6 hours, maybe 7 at a push hours sleep, but not regular sleep, and definitely not good sleep. So obviously sleeping at night is what we all do, unless we've got obviously night jobs. But you know, the sleep's perfect for like your muscle repair, sorting all those hormones out, keeping yourself level. There's more scientific parts about like, you know, replenishing your glycogen stores and getting your body working, ready to go. Even just like, you know, your brain feels better working, stuff like that. You can keep yourself on like level, you know, making sure you're ready for the day after. And even if you're watching this and you're not even into your fitness or general health and stuff, but it's needed, as we all know. If you have less sleep the night before, the day after takes a toll, and obviously you're always playing catch up then, so it makes it harder for yourself. So they always say like, obviously targeting between like 7 to 9 hours, 8 hours is the sweet spot, but you'll know yourself what works for you. And kind of, if I get like close to 9, I feel like lethargic. 7's like, between 7 and 8 isn't too bad, but I've started adding in like reading books and stuff before bed, which allows me to wind down, get it off my phone. You know, the last thing I do is read my book on my Kindle in bed. It isn't sitting there on your phone, because that obviously is stimulating your brain and everything else, but allowing yourself that time to make sure you get those hours in. You don't have to be completely regimented. Obviously on weekends we tend to do more, or we go out or stay up later, and obviously weekdays we're working. So you just got to be mindful of what you're doing. But I try and consistently read my book every night, and that helps me. The days that I don't read it, and mixing in the if you go out drinking and stuff, being sociable, God forbid, that affects it as well and plays into it. So it's not, if you have like one really bad night, you know, if you're ill and you're up all night, it's going to kind of kill you off for the rest of the week. It's more like your calories and like your training over like the year or the week or the month or whatever. It's just the average. It's just about being consistent with it. So you've allowed like blips like we all are, but I kind of look at it, if on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, have a bit more of a light-in and bank an extra hour or so, which I can kind of use in the week. If I don't sleep well, or if I don't go to bed on time and stuff like that, it's kind of like, make sure you bank them, that you can kind of use later on. You know, it's stuff to kind of bear in mind. And obviously if you're training, it's going to help you with your recovery, and, you know, make the days training better. You know, you've got more energy just in general for work. You know, it seems like common sense, and it probably is to most of us, but when life gets hectic, it's kind of one of the first things, like I said, that people forget. And obviously I've put a little bit down about napping here, but I'm not a napper. I don't nap. I really can't nap. I'd have to be absolutely shattered before I could nap. Saying that, I felt like I was about to yawn then, talking about sleep. But, you know, some people like nap 10, 20 minutes. A nap's not like loads of hours that you kind of bank during the day. It's just like a 5 to 10 minute power nap will reinvigorate you, perk you up a bit. But obviously, if you're working during the day, 9 to 5 work days, it's going to be a bit weird if you nip off to the toilet and have a 10-minute power nap or fall asleep at your desk. But those are kind of the bits that people do as well. I'll normally just have an espresso or a coffee in that time. So it depends on who you are, but obviously banking that sleep is like a common thing, but making sure obviously you're winding down before bed at night, which will obviously take everyone away from being on their phones. So this is like a bit of a sleep routine that I have, but it's not like completely set in stone. I know it doesn't bother me if I don't do it, but it's just something I'm like conscious of. So obviously this depends on people's work and stuff like that, but it's like a 3-2-1 rule in a way. So like 3 hours before your bed, it's kind of no massive meals, no big tea, no like alcohol. But then go to the weekend, this is where these rules slowly change around like weekends and stuff. But on a whole, that's kind of how I do the 3 hours, 2 hours before bed. I kind of like no massive intense workout. So, that can be it's not like don't do like a zone 2 before bed, 10K and stuff, because sometimes I do that and that helps me use that last bit of energy I've had for the day. It helps me like use it up and allows me to help in that wind down process. And then, like I said, an hour before bed, screens like your phone, iPad, whatever, telly and stuff, like kind of try your best to like turn that off. And it's obviously when I go to my Kindle and try and do a chapter or two on a book, depending on how long it is. I sometimes get like half a page down and feel like I'm going to fall asleep and instantly fall asleep. So it helps. Room temperature is a big one. I've seen on that podcast where Joe Rogan's talked about this and stuff. I can't remember what temperature he had his room set at, but like a cool temperature, window open, but not too far that's going to be absolutely freezing during the night, because that'll like wake you up. But, try and keep it like a cool 18, 19 degrees maybe, if you can, if you're that arsed about it. There's like blackout blinds and people use, but I kind of just sleep with the window light open so it's not blacked out. So like in the morning, like the natural light wakes you up, which is like a big thing, because I'd struggle to wake myself up in a pitch black room and then just get ready to go. It'd just be like complete shock. It's like, someone pouring water on you when you're asleep. It'd shock you and you won't know where you are. Obviously, like most people won't do it depending on your jobs, but I don't drink coffee after 7 p.m. because the coffee I drink's not very strong that I drink during the day, but my espressos in the morning are to like help me. But yeah, the caffeine, I won't touch it after 7 o'clock because it kind of keeps you perked and stuff. So I'd rather not do that. And then like if you're racing, if you got a competition and stuff like that, this is where in previous episodes I've talked about like not changing your routine. You've done your gels, you've wear the same stuff, the trainers, what you eat. Don't mix up any of that routine. And this also goes for like your bedtime routine as well. Keep that the same. Make sure your kit's organised. Nothing's changed. And then wind down and do your relaxation stuff before bed as shift workers or like late workers and stuff. This is where your schedule will change slightly to other people, but you'll still have your same routine. You've still got obviously 24 hours. You probably still sleep 8 hours a day. But I can't speak for this night workers on how hard it'd be to sleep during the day when it's bright. I assume it'd just be very difficult to do that. Everything's going on when you're trying to sleep. So it makes it harder. Now, the HRV, which I mentioned obviously at the start, this is kind of the last little talking point I have for this episode. And then like I did last week and the week before, I think just put in a little rest day plan, little schedule that I'll just put in the description of the videos. Please feel free to use it, tweak it as much as you want, let us know kind of what works. But this is just a little bit of a added extra kind of thing that I am mindful of. But I'll put that in the description at the bottom. And if you listen to this on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts and stuff, it'll be in the episode description as well. So HRV which you basically want to look at this as like over the week, or you can look at it each day as well if you want. Obviously, it's only if you wear like smartwatches to bed, but that's kind of your HRV's like your readiness for the day, and might be a good judge of how that day is going to feel for you. It's not going to predict how your boss is going to be at work and, you know, what things are going to happen in your life, but it's going to be like how you're potentially going to feel day. So it's HRV stands for like heart rate variability. So the way to look at it is you get like a score on your, I don't know if it'll load up on my watch. I don't think it will watch. Oh, actually. Yeah, so I've got my heart rate variability. I don't know if you can see on the screen if it'll show it, but so it'll give you like a score, or like obviously it says like average. Mine's 98 milliseconds, so it's kind of in the normal range. So the higher your score, the fresher you should feel. You know, talk about like the more recovered you should feel, and the lower it is, it means obviously you're more stressed, you're less recovered. Today may or may not be a good day. So kind of the way to look at it is to not look at each day, but don't take much from that. Look at it over the week or the month, and this is where I'm on about like banking your hours, banking your days of recovery. If your score is really low every time or every week, there's something you're doing before bed that isn't making you chill out. And that could be any of the things I've mentioned. So obviously you're on your phone late, you're drinking every night that's keeping you stimulated. There's loads of different things that could be affecting your score. So every score is kind of different. But the way to look at it is like, look at the entire trend for the week or the month, not just for the day, and how you're feeling each day. So if I'm looking at that as like 98, I think it was for like a high score, it'd be like, do I feel fresh today? I do. I had a bit of a lie-in today. Things can change. That's kind of the way to look at it. So I don't know. There's like they sometimes have it in my Garmin. I think I remember it was like I've noted here that's like green, yellow, and red. Obviously, green's good, yellow's average, and red's like poor. But in my Coros, it's kind of, it gives you like a blue band that kind of sits you in and kind of tells you already. And there's loads of information, description at the bottom on the page and stuff. But obviously, if you're in the green, on the top of the band, it's like been a good sleep, you know, normal HRV. So the way I'd look at that, if I was going to interpret this for training, so if I'm green and I'm good, that's when you want to do your high intense workout. So your intervals, your tempos, you know, stuff like that, that you've got all the energy you feel like your body can have. This is added into your nutrition and how, I don't know, injuries and loads of other things mixed into that. So today's a green day. Get out and do the hardest activities you can. Yellow, which is kind of like a mid of the range, like sleep, it's all right, it could have been better. That's kind of like your reduced volume days. So that could be, maybe you'd look at that as like a zone 2, zone 3, long, like 10 to 20k. I'd kind of look at that for myself. You just, by the time you got to that half marathon stage, you were like, could have done better today, but glad I did it, grinded it out. And then like your red, where you've had like poor sleep and stuff, this is like your proper recovery type run, zone 2, just to plod, just to get out there, just to keep your body moving type stuff. And I know that's very easy for me to say, oh, if I'm green this day, yellow this day, like you could have a really bad red week. And I'm not sitting here saying, well, if it's a red week, don't train at all. But it's just to be mindful of, these are all the little things that you play with when you're training. Is that, oh, I've had a red day. If you're finishing your workout and you're just like, oh, I'm just like done. Like, at least you have a bit of understanding of be like, that is actually still good that I'm still training and I'm red. And I probably shouldn't have trained today, but I did. And you've grinding it out. And it might just take that, in a way, knackering yourself loads to make yourself tired, to then add in the a better sleep routine and you sleep well, and the day after you could be a yellow or even a green, and then you're kind of back in it then. So it's a good way to add the HRV into your training. It's something I don't think a lot of people do. There's a lot of people I know that do add it in, but they're like proper on it with their training. But it's like one of the easiest ways to know about how well you've recovered. And if I look through my chorus here, if I load it back up again, I've got loads of, I don't know how well you can see it. There's like one that's like a wellness check, overnight heart rate, how you slept, what your stress was like, your resting heart rate, your heart rate, your FTP, how well you've recovered, your training status of like how if you're increasing, progressing, decreasing, your weekly training load, like obviously the training calendar. I know we've spoken on previous episodes about the stuff, but like this is why I transferred to a Chorus, because the Garmin wasn't giving me all that information, and sometimes the app was like really hard to use. I don't know if it's changed now, but I don't think I'll ever go back. The Chorus just seems the way to go. So it's all these little things that are added in, but HRV is just like a massive part of it. And it's just something that I think everyone should be aware of. Hence why I've done the episode. Hence why when I talk to people about things, this is what I mention. HRV is just huge. And obviously if you're not wearing a watch, don't wear a watch at all, or don't wear a watch for bed, you're going to obviously really struggle to get this data. So you're playing it by ear in the morning. How do I feel? Oh, I feel a bit like stiff today and stuff like that. But you could have felt stiff anyway, even with you wearing a watch. But at least if you felt like, or know that you recovered well or slept well, that could put you in good stead for the day after. And kind of if you're in doubt about how well you've trained, how well you've slept, then there's nothing wrong with just doing a zone 2 the day after. And just smashing like, the miles out and just getting something in, or, doing a steady workout, like a high rocks type workout where it's, just an hour of just plodding through. So ergs, a bit of running, a few wall balls and stuff like that. You can just add little bits in. And that's just an added point actually, as for future episodes, I'm going to do a bit more of the high rock stuff, high rocks episodes, because obviously the season's starting again now. So there's more information, more people. It's all over my socials, so I'll be doing the high rock stuff as well. So if you've stopped tuning in to this because I've been doing marathon stuff, we'll be going back to the high rocks and mixing it up. But yeah, that's the HRV. Don't think a lot of people are aware of it. And if you're definitely wearing like a watch, you need to be aware of it, because it's very beneficial information that can help you with your training. So as I said before, I'm going to put a little plan in the description for people to have a look at, people to critique and tweak and stuff like that. So please let me know about that. Please keep liking, subscribing on YouTube and watching the videos. TikTok's going really well. Thank you for everyone's support over there. If anyone's got any ideas for any episodes that you want me to talk about in the future, please let me know and I'll add them on. And yeah, apart from that, I will see you on the next one.